This is David Alba of Team ASGI, and I will be discussing my features for the game Galileo. The interface was created in order for the player to interact with the game and to display its features. J-frames were used to contain J-panels, which allowed the game figures to be displayed to the user. The player is able to click buttons and to access different areas within the game and to control the ship at game time. During the game, a health bar appears at the top left of the screen, initially consisting of 5 hearts. To do this, a health bar class was created and an instance of the class's object was created in the ship class, which the health bar represents. In doing so, a for loop was used to render the hearts within the game panel throughout the game and would change in number according to what happened with the player, in that the number would increase upon gaining a power-up or decrease when getting hit with an enemy missile. The health bar and ship implement the game figure interface and are rendered to the game panel, which are dependent upon the animator and game data. While accessing the help menu, the player is able to get a visual preview of all the game figures that appear in the game and information about their respective roles. Within a display menu class, draw image and draw string functions were used to render these figures. In addition, a hands-on tutorial was provided for the player to give the player practice for playing the game. The tutorial game panel receives objects from the tutorial game data, and the figures are made mobile by the tutorial animator, and then they are rendered to the user. Information is provided within the tutorial on how the controls work, and the player is able to fire missiles at the practice enemies. Additionally, a strategy pattern is used as the tutorial ship, tutorial enemy, and tutorial missile classes all implement the tutorial game figure interface and are rendered when the tutorial starts. Additionally, cutscenes were added to the game and implemented by strategy pattern. Each cutscene class has objects created and initialized, and the background images of the cutscenes appear after the player has cleared a stage, and the player ship automatically moves from one side of the screen to another, and the cutscene background that appears is dependent upon the stage that was cleared. Both cutscene classes implement the game figure interface and are all contained within the game panel and rendered to it. At this menu, the player is able to access different areas within the game by clicking one of these buttons. By clicking Help, the player can go to the display menu and see all the objects that appear within the game and information about them. A description of how the game works is provided at the bottom of the screen, as well as a tutorial which is accessed here and allows the player to practice firing. And the player can practice the controls of the game by using the mouse to move the ship around, clicking the mouse to fire, or using the mouse or switching from the mouse to the keyboard by pressing M and pressing the space bar. The player can also click the return button at the bottom of the screen to go back to the previous page. By pressing the start button, the player can begin the game. Initially, the player's health consists of 5 hearts and the score is 0. Upon gaining the power-up, he will increase the number of hearts, and when he gets hit by an enemy missile, it will decrease. When all the hearts are gone, the game will be over. After defeating the boss of Stage 1, the player will transition from the space stage to the sea stage in this cutscene. As the second stage begins, the player retains all of his hearts and his score, which proves advantageous because the next stage is very difficult. When the player gets the game over screen, he will be redirected back to the same stage. Upon defeating boss number 2, the player will then transition from the sea stage to the land stage in this cutscene. The damage he sustained carries over to the next stage. When the player wishes to quit the game, he can press the quit button at the bottom of the screen.